Hey everyone, I'm back. It's Dawn here, and I'm joined by Katie today. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm excited. I need you to let me know if you hear anything in the background because Tuesdays they do the lawn and somebody's moving. So, and my windows are wide open. So, and that goes for, hey, our listeners. So if you can hear okay, and if you can see us okay, if there are any tech issues, it looks like StreamYard did do some upgrades. So I think that's why I had tech problems. If this is your first video, you might want to check out yesterday's, but if you do, you might want to go up to the 14-minute mark because that's when I had everything worked out. It took a bit for me. I did the intro and everything and I chit-chatted, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh great, I can't share a screen, which I probably should have practiced ahead of time today, but I'm going to just go with it. So Katie, so for those of you who are here for the interrogation video of Wendi, who is the ex-wife of Dan Markel, who was murdered in July of 2014, I did 30 minutes on my own yesterday of my reaction to that interrogation video. And I will tell you, it wasn't the first time I saw that interrogation video. I believe it was Mentor Lawyer back in the day, a couple of years back, which seems like 20 years ago because this case is just like insane and long. And you'll see why as we go. But I did kind of my own reactions. And so I think it's really cool, Katie, that you're willing to do this without knowing anything about the case. So while we go ahead through this interrogation video, I'll try to keep my mouth shut. It's really hard not to because it's like, what about that? What about that? If anyone in the comments has anything that they want to say about what they're seeing in the interrogation video, that's kind of what this is all about. Like, all our eyes are on this. It's interesting. It's very tragic and sad, of course. And then just to set the stage. So we're going to start with the first 30 minutes again, this time your reaction. And then as we go forward, we'll do them together. But before we do that, we're going to go through the conspiracy tree. I have a graphic here. And then I just want to ask the audience, in addition to, hey, can you hear me okay? Can you hear Katie okay? Can you see us okay? Please say hi. Also, if you had to tell Katie, you ran into her and you had coffee and you just started chatting and you're telling her how you're into watching this trial and all of the activity around this case without giving out too much. In 3 words, what would you say is compelling about this case and why Katie should be taking a look at it? So Katie, you're a true crime buff, right? What are you following right now? What has your fancy?
So I actually, have you heard of the Murdaugh murders in South Carolina?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So I've been binging that podcast.
Okay.
So there's the Murdaugh murders podcast.
Okay. I got through it. I'm up to date.
Oh man, it's insane.
It's so, talk about tentacles.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Well, if you like that, you're going to be really interested in this one too.
Okay.
I will just tell you one thing you may or may not have discovered. I know I threw a lot at you over the weekend, but you're busy with your kids and stuff. But it was kind of like, you can look at it or you don't have to look at it. It's up to you. But Dan Markel was a lawyer, and his wife, who's in this interrogation, the ex-wife in this interrogation video, is also an attorney. Now, they were mostly in academia, not so much practicing day to day, although I'm sure they had some practice. And I don't believe Wendi has done. I mean, she said, well, you'll see what she says in the video, but she was pretty young, and when she married, when they married, just out of law school, that kind of thing, and she was a little younger than Dan, but so she doesn't have a lot of experience. She didn't do trial. She wasn't a trial attorney.
Okay.
She's smart. She knows the law. But both of them are attorneys. There's a lot of interesting dentists, all kinds of characters in here. So with that, okay, let me see if I can quick share the screen just to maybe help you kind of get to a little bit more familiar, and I'll make it as big as I can. Okay, and you may have seen my intro is what does an owl?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you might want to watch for that. What does an owl and bourbon and a broken television have in common? So that's why I use the owl here a lot of times in my graphics. Yeah. A lot of people do covering this case. So, and this over on the left is a cypress tree, which is kind of common in Tallahassee where the murder took place. Oh, I'm so sorry. The moving guy's back. Should I close my window? Is it horrible or is it tolerable?
No, that was the first time I heard it.
That was the loudest one I heard so far. I'm so sorry, everyone. Okay, so over here, we see Phil and Ruth are the mom and dad of Dan, who's in black, who was unfortunately murdered, as I mentioned, July of 2014. Rest in peace. Shelley was his sister. She's not really at this point of interest in the case, but that's their little family tree. Dan married Wendi, as I mentioned, and then they divorced, unfortunately. But before they did that, they had two sons, two boys, little boys at the time of the murder in 2014. Okay. So over here on the right side, or depending on how you're looking at left or right, is Harvey and Donna. We've got a question mark above Harvey's name, but Donna is Wendi's mom and Charlie's mom. Okay. Donna and Wendi and Charlie were all named co-conspirators in this case. However, Charlie has been arrested and is awaiting trial. So the next court trial that will be coming up, theoretically, it was supposed to be January of next year, but so only a couple of months from now, but there might be delays. We'll see what happens. So he's right now awaiting trial in jail. He and Wendi has not been arrested, or Donna, but they have been named by the state of Florida prosecutor's office, DA's office, as named conspirators. Okay. Charlie, for a little while, was taking a walk on the wild side with Katie. Katie was from a different social circle, let's just say. Charlie actually is a dentist. Wendi, as I mentioned, trained attorney. Harvey was a dentist, had a pretty successful dental practice in the Miami area. So they did a lot of investments and things like that. So they were fairly prominent. I mean, they like to think of themselves as fairly prominent in the Miami area. They had money, millions and millions. Okay. So Charlie was a periodontist. So he was actually an oral surgeon to a degree. And so he made lots of money too. He never married. Okay. And he had lots and lots of girlfriends. And like I said, one of them was Katie from the other side of the tracks. And she has been convicted. And I'll just tell you right now, she's life in prison. She's serving her life in prison. I think it's without parole, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. And there were other charges with that, including conspiracy. So she's already in prison. They've been charged. She and Tuto, I'm going to just use his nickname, has also been convicted and is serving life in prison for Dan's murder. They had 2 children together. I'm just mentioning that because there are just so many people that are like way beyond this chart that are suffering from this. Tuto is convicted life in prison. And his friend Tato, who was the head of the Latin Kings in Miami. I think it was a certain part of Miami. So he was the head. So he was a gang member, but he was an informant. So he's not serving life in prison, and he'll be out. I think it's in about 5 years from now, if I'm not mistaken. It might be a little less. So we've got Tato, Tuto, and Katie, who have been arrested and have had their trials. Charlie, Wendy's brother, is awaiting trial right now. Wendy is a named conspirator in the murder of her ex-husband, and they were already divorced at this time, Dan Markel.
Okay.
And why are Harvey and Donna maybe involved? Well, that's going to come out in the trials and all that. We're not going to get into all that, but there is a playlist I mentioned on my page. If anyone is not familiar with this, that will help you get some more background on that. So I went over that yesterday, and I'll put it in the show notes. But basically, it was a nasty kind of custody battle. It was in family court, and Wendy wanted to move back to Miami from Tallahassee to be closer to her mom and dad. And Dan didn't want his boys to be living, I think it's like an 8-hour drive. So it was a plane ride and things like that. And he was a really good father and all that. So that's the who's who. Okay. Any questions so far?
No, I think I'm good.
And anyone who is watching this graphic, I posted this graphic in the community pages on my page too. So you can get this graph, take a look at it. So, okay, we're going to stop sharing that one. So that's just a kind of a really big overview. Now, the second thing I want to do before we start watching is to set the stage. So the stage is, this interrogation is of Wendy, who was already divorced from Dan and in this really nasty kind of custody battle, which her mom was very involved with too. And it was just it was really ugly. And this was right within hours of Dan Markel's murder.
Okay.
The police went and got Wendy, found her having lunch. I'm not sure how they found her. I never thought about that before, but they found her having lunch, and they brought her in to let her know what happened to Dan, to inform her of that, and to question her. And so it ends up being over 5 hours. And why it's interesting is she never cooperated with the police afterward. She went to Miami, and this is the only interrogation video that we know of that exists.
Okay.
So put yourself in, okay, let's just say, and I try to do this too, not that we can think what another person's thinking or feeling, what another person's feeling. That is by no means what I am doing here. It's just kind of observing. But we all have our own life experiences, so we can't help but kind of compare, like, what would I do in that situation? So put yourself in her shoes. She theoretically doesn't know what happened. She's a very successful, cushy life attorney in Tallahassee. Dan actually was a professor at the law. He was beloved professor of law in Tallahassee, and that's why I say they weren't really practicing. And she had a position too, an untenured position at the Florida State University, FSU, College of Law. So let's just say you're this lawyer, comfortable life, kind of annoyed with your ex-husband, want to move out of Tallahassee because you're on record many, 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 many times saying how much you hate Tallahassee and you want to move. You get hauled into the police office. You supposedly don't know anything what happened. And so you're going to see her getting that news, how she reacts, and what happens for the next 5 hours.
Okay. Quick question for you.
Yes.
What is the custody situation? What was the custody situation at the time of the murder?
That's a key question. You are so good at this already. Gosh, I never would have thought to ask that. Well, interesting you say that, because I was on Judy the YouTube lawyer page reading through the transcripts of the back and forth, some of the back and forth that was going on. It had not yet been settled, and it was about to be. The next court date was a couple weeks after the murder.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And is she assuming she's going to lose custody?
It's not looking good.
Okay.
It's not looking good, but she'll tell her side in the interrogation video, which is just her side of things. But the court documents that we've read through, which is just really eerie to do, but it is, that's what it is. Paint a little bit of a different picture.
Okay.
And I will just say, in the trial, she did get called as a witness for all of these trials for Tuto. Of course, Tato pleaded out, but Tuto and Katie, and then Katie had a mistrial, so there was a second trial, and Wendi did get subpoenaed to testify. Now, Charlie, Harvey, and Donna didn't. And so what we know about that is her story changed quite a bit. And information that she's putting out is not the same as, like, say, what Dan's parents are saying is happening. And that type of thing. Okay.
And then she grew up really cushy, and her family has money. Does Dan's family have money?
Dan's from Canada, and his parents were quite successful as well.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know financially. Money was important to the Adelsons.
Okay.
I would say just my impression of things is they were more materialistic than Dan's family. Dan's family value their religion, their Jewish religion, and education. Dan's mother is an accomplished author. In fact, she did just put out another book called The Unveiling about what it's like to be her in this situation and to have a murdered son. Because he was clearly murdered.
Yep.
I mean, there's no question about that one. So I did another graphic where it's interesting you asked that. It's like one of these families is not like the other.
Yep.
So values and things wouldn't say completely congruent between families. Yeah.
All right.
Put it lightly. All right. And let me go through my spiel, which I forgot to do. Just so I don't. So we appreciate again that you're joining us. I consider myself a potential juror, and who might see this as evidence or just something that, if I were a juror on a trial. And we're both offering our reactions and opinions. Of course, I can't speak for Katie, but that's basically it. Just our personal opinions, right, Katie?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. So neither of us are professionals in the legal field or in behavioral science. We're just laymen offering our personal thoughts and impressions about what's going on in this interrogation video, because it's quite interesting. So having said that, I'm going to shout out one more time before we start, and you'll see his little logo as we watch the video, Mentor Lawyer, who is an actual lawyer in Tallahassee, who has been providing us public access to a lot of material, including this 5+ hour interrogation video. So again, a big thank you to Mentor Lawyer for being on top of the Dan Markel case when most people weren't noticing a couple years back, and to Judy, the YouTube lawyer, for carrying the torch on this, and to many, many, many others. And you'll find lots of pages to follow and playlists on my pages in my show notes and playlists that you might be interested in. If you need the link directly to any of those playlists, just let me know. I call this the conspiracy tree. It's like two different families, but I'm just kind of calling it that because people are being named as conspirators, and as the trials some of the trials have already taken place, we know that there's a conspiracy at foot because Tato and Tuto had no connection to Dan Markel whatsoever. And and so Katie, again, doesn't know anything about or very little about this, apart from what I just mentioned and maybe a few other things. So let's get started. What do you think?
I'm ready.
Okay. Now, I probably should have had that open. I think I have it open over here, but I forgot to put it up front. So So here we go. And again, you can find this on my page if you want to look at the interrogation video on your own. We'll be going through it here too, so you can just replay this. But I have a playlist, and it's called, what is it called? It's called, that's weird, Justice for Dan Markel. Oh, okay. My window's shrunk, so I'm not showing it. Justice for Dan Markel playlist.
Yeah, that's right. It's real close.
And we're going to start from the beginning again today. So let's just pull that off. And here we go, everyone. Again, welcome. Here we go. I'm so excited to see what you.
Yay.
Remember, she just got there.
Okay.
She just got to the interrogation room, just got picked up from having lunch with her friends. Okay, and here we go. Oh, and Katie, just tell me stop when you want to say something.
Okay.
Just say boom when you have an observation.
Yep.
And you can see the date was July 18th, 2014. And he was in really bad shape in the hospital at this point.
Okay.
Actually, what I will do, and in some cases I will speed up. He comes in pretty quick, so. By the way, I mentioned Mentor Lawyer, but he also has a page called Deep Dive True Crime, which he changed. So that is actually where this video is coming from. And you can see his Mentor Lawyer logo over on the right. Here we go. I think there were a few minutes prior to this, but I could be wrong.
I just listened to my voicemail.
What do you hear?
Who
was your voicemail?
It's from Lacey Carey, who is my real estate agent, or who I had gone with to find a house. She just said she was driving around town and she heard there was a shooting on West.
That's what this is about. I'm sorry you had to hear it that way.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if I should.
It's all right. Just leave it there. Is it still on?
It's right there.
And you want to just hit play again for me?
Sure.
I think he told her prior to this not to.
Hey, it's Lisa Carey. It is Friday, and I feel like an idiot doing this, but I just heard that there was a shooting over on Trescott, and I promise I'm not trying to be dramatic or even nosy. I don't know, just checking on you, my friend. I hope all is well. I hope your sweet boys are well, and if there's anything you need, let me know. It just ran a chill down my spine when I heard that there was something going on Trescott. All right, 212-3083. Hope all is well, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
That's all right. You can stop it. Or does it stop automatically?
It's done.
Okay. Do you have your identification with you?
Can you hear okay, Katie?
So you never
Yep.
The last name of Markel?
No.
Adelson. Okay. Wendi with an I. All right. There was a shooting at your home, or your ex-husband's home at 2116 Trescott. Okay. Your ex-husband, Daniel, all right, has been taken to the hospital. He's not going to survive.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I know that's a tremendous morning. What happened?
Well, before we get into everything, I have to establish where you were and who you were with and so forth. Okay, and then once we've established all that, I can give you more details. Do you understand why we're?
Okay, that's like
Before I
such an
discuss-
overreaction. Oh, hold on, Dawn. I can't hear you now.
Sorry, I muted
Okay.
myself. because
Oh, okay.
I forgot to unmute myself. So you feel like it's kind of an overreaction?
Yeah. Oh, big time. Like,
Okay.
whoa. Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're divorced, right?
Correct. And she actually initiated the divorce. He was out of town one day, and she moved out most of the furniture, took the kids, left divorce papers on the bed, whatever, unmade bed or whatever, and he didn't even know how to reach her. So it wasn't like he broke her heart or anything like
Right.
that. He was so heartbroken and surprised.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is this reaction because she's not going to get her money from him? Like,
She has plenty of money. She has plenty of money. Interestingly, that's interesting. You thought overreaction. My thought was how quickly she went into cry mode. Like, boom.
yeah.
Now I have a question for you. Okay, say you're divorced for 2 years. You're still in the custody battle. You want to move, whatever petty stuff is going back and forth. You're both lawyers, so it gets kind of ugly.
Yeah.
Would you be curious more asking what exactly happened?
Yes. I mean,
I
all
would-
you know is there's a shooting, but yeah,
And he's-
like what,
and he's-
how, where?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we continue? Oh, go ahead.
And they said that he's on the way to the hospital. He's not going to make it. Like, I mean, I would probably want to be there, or at least get my kids there for the end of life, right?
That was my thought. My thought. Exactly. Okay.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
It gets better.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, you have nothing to be sorry about.
I just don't understand. How could this happen?
Can you, let me get over this hump, okay? Can we do that first? All right. Can you tell me what time you left your house this morning?
Yeah, I was there. I didn't leave this morning. I didn't leave until noon.
Okay. And
Oh my God. And I tried to drive up Trescott and I saw that it was blocked.
It was blocked at some point. I'm not sure what time it was
And I
blocked.
just thought, oh, there's maybe some trees down or something. Because sometimes
Oh, you're saying as you drove down which one of the side roads?
when I'm going to a friend's party tonight and it's oh my God, what am I even talking about? I needed to buy, it's a stock the shelf engagement party, and so I went to buy bourbon.
Okay.
So I went to drive from my place up Trescott to get to ABC Liquor, and it was blocked. So I just turned around. I was on the phone at the time. I wasn't paying a lot of attention.
Right.
So I just turned around and drove up the other way. I just thought, oh, sometimes when I lived there were electrical things that would happen. I left my house around 12:15.
Your face.
Because I thought,
Yeah.
I'll get the bourbon and then
A lot of chit chat, huh?
Yeah. What is this? Like, we go from sobbing to like alibi. Like, she's telling you exactly where she was, when she was, what she's doing it, and
Bam. Right there. Like within
what?
seconds.
What? Okay, and sorry, I need you to explain this to me. She's not living at the house that he was murdered in, correct?
Correct. It's about 20
So she
minutes
just,
away, I think, or 10.
so she just happened to be over by that house?
I think this is interesting that you brought that up, because evidently the detective actually saw her car swing around and turn. Yeah. And she may or may not know that she was spotted. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
But why? I don't know. This guy is in trouble at the hospital, and this is what, I mean, I've never been in a situation like that, so I don't know how I would react, but awful lot of details, don't you think?
Yeah. Like they just came in, bam.
Bam.
And she's telling, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
I do have one theory. Okay, some people are like, she didn't know it was her brother and her mom and their dad just trying to protect the little baby. This is a 35-something-year-old woman, or 40, I don't know. And let's say, and you'll know how much she knew about it, but I think I should say this thought. I'm not sure if I should say it or not, but maybe the tears could be genuine because she knew it was what happened already. And maybe that's why so quickly it's like, oh, it really did happen. It's like, okay, it's real. That's one thought I had, because and she might be legitimately afraid of a lot of things right now to make her cry.
Sure.
So yeah, so that was just a thought. She either knew or knew of, is most people's opinion.
Yeah.
That this was going to happen, and then when, which is kind of creepy that she drove by. Okay, shall I keep going?
Don't you think if that's the case, don't you think she drove by on purpose to see if it had happened yet?
Seems like.
Okay.
Seems like why there's a lot of questions about, oh, hey, Antoine, thanks for joining us. I had asked a question earlier on, Antoine, if you had to tell Katie, who's coming at this completely blind, at this case, in 3 words, what would you say to her if you were just like, hey, I just met this new friend, Katie, and in 3 words, how would you describe this mess that we're talking about here? Okay, so let's keep going. And
I'll get some gas for the car, and I get super glue for one of the boys' toys, and I was trying to do all I can before meeting my 2 friends at 1.
Okay, who was at your house this morning?
The only person that was at my house this morning was a guy from Best Buy, because my TV was broken and it's under warranty.
Good for you.
Yeah, I figured.
Okay, a guy from Best Buy was at your house to work on your TV?
I have his name and everything at the house if you want it, because the boys broke the TV. So
Hold on, you're muted again.
The boys broke the TV is what she said. I wasn't sure if you picked that up.
I mean, that's happened at my house, so I get where she's coming from. But
how old were your kids when that happened?
Oh, Dawn, it happened 3 times within 3 months.
Were they like 3 years old?
No, gosh, it happened probably 2 summers ago. So they would have been like 9, 7, and 5.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's comparable. Good to know. Good to know. Because I thought that was like, how with those little tykes. Anyway, but I don't have kids, so that's why you're here. So that's why other people's opinions are great.
Fixing it or getting a new one.
What time did he come to the house?
He called me at around 8. He was probably there until around 10.
Okay. Okay. And then
and then after he left, I kept working on a paper, and I emailed the paper to a librarian at school to work on some of the citations.
Okay.
And I don't think I talked to anyone else, but I was just working for an hour or so from the house. I was going to take a shower, but I didn't. I ran out of time. I did laundry. And then I left the house around noon.
To go to the liquor store and the stuff for the party?
Yeah.
Okay, you went down which road you said?
I went down Trescott.
Okay.
I saw a police car there, and I just thought it was blocked, so I just turned around and drove to, I went down the rest of Centerville, went up Benton, took Benton across, went to ABC Liquors, bought the bourbon.
I'm a little confused. You're up on Centerville Road. What's your purpose of driving down Trescott?
It's usually the shortcut to get to Monroe.
To get to Monroe?
I usually take it as a cut through to get to Thomasville or Monroe.
Okay, all right, so
I don't know why I said Monroe. I was thinking Mosaic, Monroe, Thomasville.
Okay, so when you come down into town on Centerville,
I almost always cut through Trescott.
and just drive by your old house?
Well, I do it as a way of like coming to terms with the divorce. But yeah, sometimes I drive there. If I'm too sad, I drive around.
Okay.
It's been 2 years.
And she initiated it. Now, I initiated my divorce, and it unrattled me, but not for 2 years, and not to the point where I was stalking my ex. I mean, I could care less what he was
Yes.
doing.
Okay.
Okay, and by the way, Antoine has weighed in with his 3 words for you. Whole lot of lying. I don't know. I don't want to say. I mean, we can go at this, and some people might look at this and oh, she's so upset. You know, it's fine. She's just nervous. I'm also watching the way she breathes, because she is able to get herself in a frenzy by doing this, which I would be able to do too, real easy. It's like not, and it's also not able to sustain that very long, because you would pass out.
No, it's just hysterics, and it just feels acted.
Okay. And Antoine also says, but ever seriously, 2 lawyers got together and saw that it wasn't working with their family dynamics. Wife's mother bolsters her daughter to feel like she was unfairly treated. And in actuality, the relationship had strained because the wife's mom.
Mm-hmm.
Wife's mom then encourages her children to do the unthinkable. This is very good, Antoine. I appreciate this. I'm going to put this up on the screen. Unthinkable. He's still writing, so I'm coming here. Okay. He's writing, so it's moving. Children do the unthinkable. Mom walks away from this guilt-free while her children are likely to die incarcerated. Oh my gosh. It's so sad that wife's mom will likely have custody of those grandchildren. Yeah. In fact, I think I'm going to add to the playlist that reading that Judy did of the divorce papers, and I helped her a little with that too. So yeah, I'm going to share that. So that's what Antoine has to say.
Okay.
Who
has the children right now? Wendi still does?
Wendi, and mostly her mom. And wow, Dan's parents haven't been allowed to see them at all, and they're heartbroken. They lost their son, and they lost their grandchildren. And wow. Wendi testifies that they can see every time they want to. Not the case. She's gone on record saying that I think it's only just been 1 or 2 times and 1 or 2 Skypes in, let's see, this was 2014. It's now 2022. So not nice. Okay. Not a nice situation. Why would they not let? Yeah. So there you go. Here we go.
Aren't home, and I know they're not home. I feel better about driving by the house, but yeah, it's shorter, and I just usually drive by.
It's shorter than going all the way down to Benton.
All the way down Centerville and around Benton. Just a shortcut I always took.
Okay, so you turned around and went back to Centerville, I take it?
Yeah.
Down to Benton, and went to the liquor store down there on Thomasville?
Yeah.
The one at Benton Road?
ABC Liquors. It's at Benton. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Did you make a purchase there?
Yeah.
And that was sometime after 12?
Probably 12:30.
Okay. All right.
And I talked to a guy there because I don't really buy much alcohol, and so they wanted bourbon, and I asked the guy. We had a whole conversation about bourbon and my eyes, like.
Your eyes.
He just said your eyes are really blue, and
you have contacts.
I do.
Okay.
Don't you love that? She has these turquoise. She's got brown eyes. She wears these turquoise contacts.
Oh, gross.
Big deal. It's just a big deal to her. It's very important to her to have those blue eyes. So she had to mention it here.
Oh, God.
Tells you a little bit about this person.
Yeah.
But I just remembered it.
Right.
So I bought the bourbon and got some gas on Thomasville and met my friends at Mosaic.
Which gas station did you go to on Thomasville?
The one that's, I always forget the name, but the one that's close to the cross street. It's right next to the Goodwill.
Okay.
you're heading north on Thomasville. You're heading north on Thomasville, it's on your right.
Okay, just past the Goodwill
Just
place?
past the Goodwill, it's close to the intersection there.
Okay, all right, and then from that point, you went straight to the
Went to Mosaic
Mosaic restaurant?
and met friends there. I used to have kind of a steady Friday meeting, and I hadn't seen my 2 friends in a while. And so we had made plans to meet up.
What time did you get to Mosaic?
About 1. I was a little late. We were supposed to meet at 1, and I got there a few minutes after.
Okay, all right, I know it's cold in here. Okay.
I think that's not why.
Okay, I know it's part of it, but do you know anybody that would have a beef against your ex-husband?
He's oh God.
I hate to ask it now, but I have to do it now.
I mean, I didn't mention this yesterday. I do have to butt in. The pregnant pause there, the dramatic pause. Like, I really have to think about this.
I understand, right?
I understand. He had friends. He always meant well, but he would sometimes rub people the wrong way.
Okay.
But not anyone would do something like this.
Anybody that he owes money to?
No, he owes money to me,
He owes money to you?
but not me.
Okay, all right.
Oh my God, we're kids. Oh. I know a lot of people didn't really love him, but I don't know anyone who would do something like this.
Well, we're still trying to determine, what happened and how it happened.
But he wouldn't do this to himself.
Okay.
He's a
Okay,
very
pause.
positive person.
Okay.
So 1 second, it's anybody that could do this. And then that long pause. Well, I mean, I guess everybody loved him, but he could rub some people the wrong way. What does that even mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there's no expansion on that. And then it goes back into that instant fake cry. Like, I feel so bad for the boys. What?
For sure.
Like,
Yeah.
And then it's like, now you're going to bring up suicide? What?
Right.
What are we doing? Oh,
Yeah. You know what? I forgot to mention my favorite. Here's Antoine says word salad is what we're doing. Batting out all kinds of things to to confuse and overwhelm. My favorite part is when she was getting, this is her body language. Well, I went on Trescott and then I turned around and then I went here and and then I did this, and then it's like she had to remember, don't forget to hyperventilate a little bit in between for dramatic.
Yeah, and then she just bowls her whole body over. Like, what?
I mean, unless this is who she is.
I don't know how to respond to that.
Is it? I don't know. Is it? I mean, I talk with my hands, but this seems very dramatic.
This is the only time she's talking with her hands so far. So take note of this, because I look at the body language too, and it's like, okay, now it's very important to her to get this information off really clearly. Because this is the one thing that they did see her do.
Sure.
So let's take our time, and then okay, anything else?
Well, and then if you go back to the eyes thing, like, she's smiling and she's happy and she's giddy about herself and her eyes, and then next thing you know, she's hyperventilating again. Like, it's crazy how she can just turn it on and off. Like,
okay, I agree. I that's what I mentioned yesterday. It's baffling. Like, and that is a sign of a particular personality disorder I won't mention. I've learned. So it's kind of scary when certain people can do that. They're like,
Yeah.
It's really not natural. It's really
No.
not normal. Okay, good. Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one. We know where I'm not the only one. What do the baseball caps mean? Antoine, are you going to go watch the World Series? Is the World Series on? What does it mean? Do I know? Do you know what it means? And I don't. I'm old.
I mean, I'm old too, but I think it means like no cap, like you're not lying, like no lying.
Okay.
It's a new slang.
Okay.
He'll tell us if we're
Cap
right or
lying.
wrong.
Cap lying. Okay, got it. Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm a lady in my 60s, so I'm trying really hard to keep. Now, my mother, who's in 87, would know this. She'll be using this in 5 minutes. I mean, she's up on all this stuff. It's really funny. Possibly, he's saying possibly using the hyperventilating to put herself back in character. Yeah. Seems like, I don't know. Does this seem rehearsed to you, Katie?
Yes. Very, very rehearsed.
Okay.
She has it scripted so she can say exactly where she was, when she was doing it, who she talked to. Like, I would have some guy come fix my TV and I would not have his name or number. I wouldn't have a clue. I'd be like, I don't know, some guy from Best Buy.
Right.
But she has his name and his number. Like,
he's like, do you have his number? He didn't even ask for it.
No.
Do you remember his
like,
name?
I have his name and his number at my house. Like,
yeah, it was like
I wouldn't.
10
I
and
know.
then around 12 and then I did the and you'll hear more about him next. You're gonna love this.
No one that you know of or that you've spoken to recently that he's had some type of problem with or that he was concerned about?
No one that he was concerned about. I mean, we've been separated for 2 years, so I don't know, like,
right.
If he had something going on, I wouldn't know about it. But I mean, I had lost my voice earlier this week, and so we had put off this conversation about our son's school and where he was going to go, and he I can't. I know a lot of people didn't love him, but not anyone who would like hate him.
I just want to say to the audience, I've watched this like 3 times, and I've heard her say I lost my voice. How convenient during this custody battle that she wasn't able to speak with him.
Well, even then, there's texting or email or
right.
What in the world was that? I lost my voice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Details.
He meant well. Everyone that knew him knows that he means well, but he can be a little like argumentative.
Right.
But not, he didn't owe anyone money. He didn't do anything except work and take care of his kids. He wasn't involved in anything bad.
Okay.
I can't believe this is happening.
I know. And he was a professor at the law school, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And your divorce has been 2 years or the total separation, I'm assuming?
Total separation's been 2 years. Our divorce was finalized last summer around this time.
Okay.
He wouldn't do this to himself. He has a girlfriend now.
Do you know his girlfriend?
I met her once in the last couple of weeks. She was visiting. She lives in New York.
Okay. Do you know anything about her?
I know some things about her. She's also a law professor. I know she's recently divorced and she has a son. I don't know if her divorce is final, but I think recently divorced.
Where's she a law professor at?
At NYU. And they seemed very happy. And I mean, I think that was a really good thing in his life. He seemed really happy about it. She came down here, she met the boys, and I met her and she told me how great she loved the boys. It seemed fine.
She ever stay at the house with him?
Just that one time.
When was that?
I remember because I just got back from being with my family in South Florida. Sorry.
It's okay. You're doing great.
So what date was it? I went with my family It was my dad's 70th birthday, and we went home for it. So his birthday was the 5th. I left Monday the 30th, so she must have come into town Saturday, the evening of the 28th.
What month? June. This past June.
Just now. So June 28th, and then she was there with the boys the 29th, and then I met her on the morning of the 30th when I picked up the kids to take them to South Florida.
Do you know when she left?
I could probably find it like in the email and stuff. I think she was here for like one more day, and then Danny went up to New York because I was with the kids in Miami for a good long while. I was there. I drove back July 10th, so I was there almost 2 weeks. And so I think he went up the next day.
Okay. Do you know her name?
I do. It's Amy Adler. Oh my gosh, she's
A.D.
Adler.
And she's a professor of law at
Yeah.
NYU?
Yeah.
What kind of car does she drive?
I have no idea. I don't know if she has a car. She lives in New York City.
Well, so I mean, she was driving down. I mean, she flew down here, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have her phone number?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't know how long they were dating even. It seemed kind of serious if she met the kids, but I don't really know. He's been going up to New York for like conferences and stuff since Lincoln was about a few months old. So he's been going up there 3.5 years. So I my guess was that they might have known each other for a long time, but have been dating. I don't know how long.
Well, let me ask you something. Does his relationship with her have anything to do with your all's divorce?
No.
No, it had nothing to do with
No.
an extramarital affair or anything?
No, but the only thing I'm thinking is Amy, I don't know what Amy's full divorce situation is like. So if you're gonna think of someone who's not thrilled with Danny, I don't know how happy her husband or ex-husband is with the situation.
Do you know anything about him?
I don't know anything about him.
That's
So
interesting.
you know Amy Adler, she's a professor at NYU. She was down here from the end of June through the first part of July.
I think just a few days.
Right.
Yeah.
As visiting, but he'd been seeing her when he goes to New York on these conference
Yeah,
trips.
well, he's in New York in the summertime. We have a week on, week off schedule with the boys. So whenever I have them for a week, he goes up to New York for a week. So he's been spending a lot of time up there.
Did he relate to you that he'd been seeing her up in New York, or that's where they met, or anything of that nature?
He didn't tell me about it, but I feel like he was pretty vocal with the girlfriends and people probably since December about her being his girlfriend. So
Okay. Who would be his best friend?
when we were still together, he had two best friends. Neither of them are in Tallahassee.
Okay.
Oh my God, I'm completely blanking on their last names right now.
That's
There's
okay.
Matt Price, that was his best man at our wedding. And Josh Berman, who, Matt is in DC and Josh is in New York.
Okay, so
Actually,
pause
he
for a
has
second.
Friend, I don't know if they're so close, but
Oops. Okay,
You-
what you got?
Well, you asked earlier if I felt like it was scripted, and it's amazing how she can know every single detail that's important to her. But the second that he asked a question off script, like, what's Dan's best friend? Oh, my brain just completely farted out, which I get. Like, her script wasn't prepared for that question.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a really good point. That's really a good observation. Yeah.
Like, it just, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
what
Yeah.
I got?
So far, how many people have you counted that she's thrown under the bus? Like a potential, well, it could be this and it could be that.
3? Are there 3 so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
we're and although this seems like an eternity, we're really fresh into the interview. And meanwhile, Dan is in the hospital. And that's the last thing.
Right.
Yeah.
He and the boys sleep over at their house a lot. They're in Cairo, Georgia.
Okay.
That's probably his closest friend here.
You know his name?
His name's Alex Greenberg. He's a veterinarian in town, and they've got kids around the same age as our kids.
He's a vet here in town?
Mm-hmm. And I think
Do you know where his office is?
I don't. Maybe in Cairo.
Oh, he doesn't have office in Tallahassee.
I don't think so.
He's a vet in Cairo.
Their house is in Cairo. His wife is a dentist. I don't know if her practice is in town or in Cairo either. His wife is Maya, M-Y-A.
Okay. You're being very helpful. Okay, I know it's hard.
I'm trying.
You're doing fine.
What's happening.
You're doing fine. I know it's all the shock. I know it's coming to you all at once. Okay.
I don't know who would do this.
Okay. Well, it appears from what we've seen so far that someone intentionally hurt Danny. Okay, intentionally. Okay, I don't think.
know who it is.
No, and I don't
What if
think.
they come after the boys?
I don't think that's going to be. I have no indication at this time that that's a threat. Okay, but the boys are going to stay with you. You're not going back over to Trescott. Okay.
No, I don't live there anymore.
I know you don't. But the boys are going to stay with you. Okay, and they'll be fine.
I don't know if I can take care of them like this.
All right. Where's your closest family at?
My family, I actually just talked to my brother this morning. My parents are in Coral Springs.
Okay.
And my brother, I have two brothers, but I'm very close to one of them who is in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay. All right. So that's where you're from originally, I take it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
His family's in Canada. Did they know? Did you tell them?
No, they haven't been notified
Oh
yet.
my God. His parents are going to be devastated.
Okay. This is what I want to do, okay? This is what happened, okay? Daniel's been shot, okay? And we have to find out why and who did this. Can you help with that?
I will try.
Okay. What I want to do right now to try to expedite things, okay? But I need your permission, is I want to take your cell phone and download all the information out of it.
Sure.
Do you have a problem with that?
No.
Okay. And then we're going to make arrangements for you to get the kids, or we'll get the kids somehow, okay? Because the kids are at daycare, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to need their mother.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you do that?
Yes.
Okay. I got to get a form for you to sign, and then I'm going to get the phone started, okay?
Oh my God. I have a lot of friends.
I know.
How do you know that?
Well, you had two of them up there for a last minute lunch date, right?
Last minute.
Well, I mean, you went up there, you're sitting with them, you have friends.
I do. What I meant by it is that Danny didn't treat me very well. And I'm
Okay.
so scared that maybe someone did this. Not because they hate Danny, but because they thought this was good somehow.
Oh, are you saying that you think maybe one of your friends would have done something
Who
like
would
this?
do this?
I don't know. That's why you're here, and that's why we're talking.
Is this real?
What part of it are
And
you?
now she's throwing her friends? Like, maybe my friends did it for me.
I have a lot of friends.
Like, what?
What do you mean?
Who comes up with this? Maybe one of my friends did it for me?
Because she was complaining so much
Wow.
about him and Tallahassee, and she really was. There's no question about
Okay.
it. Even, well, she doesn't say this. She's like, no, I love Tallahassee. But no, there's a lot of testimony and corroborating witnesses that have said no, she hated Tallahassee. All they did was hate on Tallahassee and Dan, the family.
Okay.
So that's
Wow.
number 4. Number under the bus, number 4, all the friends.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, it gets better.
Would you ever ask someone to do something like this?
Not in a million years.
Okay.
What do you think about that denial? Would you now?
Not in a million.
Not in a million years.
I would say no.
Like, of course not.
Yeah, like
Are you
what
kidding
kind of
me?
yes.
Not in a
Maybe
million.
defend yourself a year, a little.
Or
Wow.
but here's the kicker. The next sentence.
Do you think someone would do this for your benefit without asking you?
No.
No. What is this is so important to me. I'm going to interrupt because I don't think I articulated it yesterday when I said that's a confession. Because we know it was a conspiracy. We know it was somebody who he knew or loosely. So she's saying, I would know about it. I would know about it. He said, would somebody do that without you knowing? No. So.
So you're saying, yep, I see what you're saying.
I know it takes a little bit of a twist there, but I'm like, bong, bong.
Yeah.
So right there, she admits that if
she
one
knew
of her friends, or let's see who she talked about so far, her friends,
the girlfriend's ex, like
the girlfriend's ex, and somebody else, a couple other people. So whoever it was, well, we haven't gotten to the family yet. So let's see what she says. Oh, Anton. Okay. She had him. Antoine, the children were in school. He had dropped them off at their school, and the Tato and Tuto had been following him in the car. And so there is evidence that, and they even, Tato, I can't guess which one. One of them said, yeah, they made sure the kids were gone at school.
Do you find it interesting that she was also concerned about the kids' safety? Like, somebody did this to Dan. What about my boys? Are they going to come after them? But she doesn't have any concern for her safety.
I think.
Like, why would she go instantly to the boys?
I think right, and I think she did say she was scared. But there again, that took a while to get to that, didn't it?
Yeah.
We're really afraid that where are my kids? Oh my gosh, where are my kids? She's like, she doesn't even ask about where her kids are. And it's his day to have them.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, because like we're already 45 minutes into the interview and she's just now.
Yeah.
Just now asking about her kids.
Right. And a very loose interest in him being in the hospital. I mean, me personally, divorce or no divorce, if it were only 2 years out, 1 year anniversary, I would be, I'm sorry, and we have kids together, I'd be like, I'm taking my boys and we're going to that hospital. I'll do this later. Or if you want me to leave, you come with me. They would have accommodated, don't you think?
Right. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hear it.
What good does it serve?
What good does it serve?
I made my brother, the one, his name is Charlie, the one I'm really close to, he makes a lot of jokes in bad taste, and it was a joke he made. He bought the TV for me this morning that got broken, and I was talking to him about whether it made sense to pay to fix it or whether I should get a new one, and it was always his joke that, like, he knew Danny treated me badly, and it was always this joke. He said, I looked into hiring a hitman, and it was cheaper to get you this TV, so instead I got you this TV.
Isn't that funny? It's really, it's like these people sense of humor. So, yeah.
And is that the fourth time that she's mentioned that Dan has treated her so terribly?
Oh, yes, he was such a brute.
I mean, that's at least the fourth time that she said that.
Right. She doesn't ever miss an opportunity, even when she testifies in court to diss him. Never misses an opportunity, right? But I just find it interesting. No, I would know if somebody I knew did this. And he says, to what end? Why would somebody do this? And she goes right to her brother.
right there.
But he wouldn't do that. It's just a funny joke.
It's just a funny joke. I've looked into hiring a hitman.
Actually, she doesn't say funny. She says distasteful. And I have a feeling about that. If somebody tells me a distasteful joke, and it has happened from time to time, I certainly don't repeat it.
No.
And she does quite a bit.
Yeah.
So here we go. And we're not even in, like, we're only 25 minutes in.
I mean, he would never.
Never.
He's my big brother, and he's been taking care of me since I was little, but he would never. And I told that to the repair guy this morning.
Right.
Yeah, she did.
It's okay.
I said, he asked me how much it cost, and I said I didn't know because it was a gift, because my brother said it's cheaper than a hitman. It was my divorce present.
Okay.
Such a horrible thing.
That's okay.
She had to take a breath after putting that extremely important, what I call this is preemptive strikes out there, putting information out there that they're going to learn. Why,
Sure.
So she's going to tell them about it first.
But even my family, who felt like I had been mistreated, would never do something like this. Never.
Even my family wouldn't.
Well, it's
Not my
been,
friends,
you guys
my
have been divorced for over a year. Has there been any type of abuse in that time?
Of him towards me?
Yeah.
No. It's he's litigious, and we have an ongoing case because the house, it shouldn't be in my name anymore, but when we settled the case of our divorce, he said, one of the agreements the court said was, Danny wanted to stay in the house. They said, you can have the house, but you need to pay her half of the amount of what the house is worth. And he agreed to it. And then months passed, and he just never paid me.
Okay.
And so we have ongoing litigation where I filed a motion in the court to have him pay me what he said he would. And he filed a counter motion for sanctions against my attorney because he thought that she did something wrong, which she didn't. But so, I mean, she withdrew from the case and was going to serve as a witness. So she's not going to lash out at him for it. She's using the legal process to do it. My parents are, very angry towards him. But even when they're around my kids, they would never say a bad word about my kid's father. They're really, really careful about that. They just like him, but they know he's the father of my kids. They would.
And this will be completely proven to be a lie later on. I just want to say that has nothing to do with her body language or what she's saying or any of that. But just later on, this is a bold-faced lie. She's already like, oh, my parents would never. But they just
never.
He hurt me so bad. She's the one who
She also just threw her lawyer under the bus, or his lawyer. That, like, maybe it was them, but they would never do it because they're fighting it out in court.
Right.
Like
all people. Maybe it was just
all the people, but not her brother and not her family. They would never. Nope.
And not her.
No, she would know if they
never.
did.
Whoops, sorry. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Never do that.
Right.
I don't know who would be angry enough with him
Well, that's what I have to find out.
to do something like this.
The brother that you're real close to, I have to do a lot of elimination at the same time. The brother that you're really close to, the one that joked about the TV and everything, what'd you say his name was?
Charlie.
Charlie, and he's in Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me what kind of car he has.
He has like 5 cars.
I know.
He drives I think one of them is an unmarked police car.
Oh, really?
He's a bit of a character.
Okay.
So I don't know what he's driving at the time.
Right.
But I'll tell you, he's a periodontist, and he has this practice where he works from early in the morning till late at night. So if you ever wanted to find his whereabouts, he's working all day long
Okay.
until early in the morning till late at night, always driving to a different office, working.
Oh, he goes to different offices?
Yeah, he works in different offices all over South Florida, does implants for people. And he works really hard all the time. He has a girlfriend, so he's pretty much accounted for all the time.
Charlie, was his first name?
Charlie's his first name.
Not Charles?
I think Charles is his legal name. No one calls him that.
What's his last name?
Adelson.
What's his middle?
J-A-Y.
Same spelling, Adelson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god.
What?
What? Oh my gosh.
What?
I can't believe this is happening.
Okay, all right.
Oh
Let me
my
go get
God.
the form for the phone.
Do I need to be read my Miranda rights or something if you're gonna look at my phone?
I can read you Miranda if you want to hear
I don't
that.
know, I'm just trying to make sure I'm being
I have no
protected.
reason at this point to suspect you in this incident. Okay?
I couldn't tell from the way you were talking to me in the car if I was a suspect.
Well, no, the reason was I didn't want to get into everything until we got up here.
Is he still in the hospital?
He's at the hospital, yes,
Finally,
yes,
And he's alone.
finally.
yes.
And nobody knows he's there.
Well, you know now, and while I'm going to get this phone taken care of, I'm gonna have a victim advocate come in here, and hopefully you can supply her with his parents.
Oh my god.
I'm assuming his parents would be his next of kin.
He's a sister he's really close with.
Where is she?
They're all in Canada. He's Canadian.
Okay, all right, they live in Canada.
They all live in Canada.
Okay,
His family's all in Canada.
okay.
They're gonna think I did it.
No, now,
What?
don't jump to conclusions on that.
Oh my god, I can't believe this is happening.
All right, let me go get the form for the phone, okay?
We're almost to our stopping point.
Oh my god.
Sorry, you okay?
No.
I meant to, like,
That's fine. Our last interaction wasn't nice.
He's not even
what are
dead
you
yet.
talking about personal?
I'm
Right.
just looking here.
Right.
I didn't want him to take the boys this afternoon. I had wanted
Maybe
to
that's
have
why
them.
she's crying and
And I
hysterical.
talked over with my brother and realized, their dad wants to take them swimming. It's not worth getting upset over.
I'm glad you said that because that was my he's not this whole period of time. It's like I just felt for him in the
He sent me
hospital.
that message at 9:15 this morning.
See how she looks
You
up
were
at
telling me
him? Are you
before,
listening?
when we were riding up here, that the agreement was that you're all gonna have some type of phone call at 11:15 this morning, is that correct?
Well, not exactly, just that we needed
Okay.
to have the talk at some point before, we have to decide before Monday of what to do about his school, where Ben's gonna go to school, and he said, I'm gonna be done. I thought it was 11:15, but when we listened to the message, it was 10:30.
Okay,
When he said, I'm gonna be he went to like a workout class at the gym. He
at
said,
Premier.
At Premier, he
Mhm.
said, I'm gonna be out of it by such and such a time, you could call me then. And I called, but I think we could see what time I called him. I thought it was more of like, let's see, recent calls. I called him, well, that's him calling in at 9:02. I called him at 11:42 and got his answering machine.
He called you at 9:02?
He called me at 9:02.
Mm-hmm.
The repair guy was
Who would
there,
say
and
9:02?
honestly, I leave my ringer off a lot of the time, so I didn't even hear the call come in. He left me a message. I called him at 11:42, and left him a message, just saying, okay, I want to talk about school for Ben, and I assume I'll see you at 4:30 today. when I figured he's gonna take the kids swimming
Right,
and he'll drop them at the house at 4:30.
okay. So in other words, the whole meeting at 10:30 or 11:15
Just didn't happen.
Right, okay. All right. Let me get this.
So that meeting didn't happen, and that was what they were fighting about in court.
There's a lot of information on here, okay? It'd probably be easier if I read it to you.
Fine.
Okay, I, Wendi Adelson, and I gotta change this.
Adelson.
I know, I gotta change that.
It's okay. It's Adelson.
Actually, it's spelled right. I said it wrong. Adelson. Do hereby authorize and give my permission to investigate Isom, who has identified himself to me as a law enforcement officer with necessary assistance of a digital forensic examiner to make a full and complete search of my cell phone or other digital media, along with data located on additional data sources, locations such as connected to, at, and were at the Tallahassee Police Department. That's the address. I have been advised that law enforcement are engaged in investigation concerning an alleged violation of federal or state law pertaining to a shooting incident. I do further authorize and give permission to take from my cell phone located at 230 47th Avenue.
I'm sorry, is that the police station?
That's where we're at right
Okay.
now. Yeah. Computers, cell phones, computer peripherals, digital media data, which may or may not have a connection, value, or relevance as evidence in said investigation. The above law enforcement officer has fully and fairly advised me on rights as follows. I have the right to refuse consent of the search of my property. I have the right to consult with an attorney or any other person of my choice prior to giving them consent and permission to search the above described property. Any cellular phones, computers, computer peripherals, and digital media or data, along with any data located on these items or on additional digital storage locations such items can connect to, found by said officers in the course of their search, can be used as evidence against me or others in a court of law. I fully understand and appreciate these rights and wish it be specifically understood that I'm hereby giving consent permission to conduct the search of the cellular phones, computers, computer peripherals, and digital media data, along with any data located on any additional digital storage locations such items can connect to, solely because of my desire to freely and voluntarily cooperate and assist in this investigation. I have not been promised anything or been threatened or coerced in any way, nor has any inducement of any kind been held out to me in return for this consent and permission to search.
She's an academic lawyer, right?
Correct.
Why couldn't she have just figured all that out herself?
The Miranda? Well, they have to
No,
read.
what he's reading right now.
What do you, I don't follow.
Like, why couldn't she have just read that and signed it? Why did he have to go through all of that?
It might be it might be their policy to read it.
Okay.
I think she might have said, "Are you going to read?" I can't remember if she said,
Okay.
"Are you going to read them to me?" So I think it's their policy too. I'm not sure though. That's a good question. Well, there's several lawyers that are watching. If you want to weigh in on that, maybe you could tell us if it's a police policy to read them out loud.
Okay, can I have your phone now?
Yeah. Stupid question, but are you gonna give it back?
Yes, yes.
I feel like I need to help
No,
my
you're gonna
family what's going on.
No, you're gonna get it back. It's just I'm trying to expedite this now so I can get it back to you sooner.
I understand.
Be right back.
I'm going to fast forward because this part wasn't super material, but we're just going to pass forward to where we're going to start next for our next live stream.
So she's concerned about her family and letting them know what's going on, but not his.
Right.
She's not once said, "Oh, I should probably call his parents." Like she said, "Do they know?" But
What do you
Not hysterical
That's the friend I
either.
was with calling, so just decline it. I guess I should talk to you with me now.
Yeah.
Is there someone I can talk to about what to tell my kids?
Yes, well, we're gonna get to that. Give me your phone number on this phone again.
954-803-0079.
Can I get Daniel's cell phone number?
202-276-8200.
202-276-8200. Okay. Do you know his passcode to unlock his phone?
I don't.
You don't know it?
I don't have a passcode.
Right.
When I was with him, he didn't have a kind of phone that needed a passcode.
Okay.
But he's got an iPhone since then, so
Yeah.
he may have one. And I can't remember. Oh my gosh, I remember his passcode to something, but it was like a word in Hebrew with the word one, so it's a word and not numbers. I can give you my children's birthdays in case you want to try that. I really have no idea what it would be.
Okay, let's go ahead with the children's birthdays.
So Ben is 729, so it could be like 0729.
What year?
2009. Lincoln is 10/13, 2010. They're 14 months apart.
10, 13, or 10?
Yeah.
So 5 and 4 years old-ish
I was complaining about him at lunch.
Sorry.
at the time.
What is going on?
And does she know she's being recorded right now?
She should.
Like, you got to keep up the act.
Uh-huh. But that's not easy to sustain over a long period of time, which is why a lot of times they keep you for a long time. It's very hard, especially with hyperventilating. I mean, I have a theory, it's just a theory, but she knew darn well that she would need to give up her phone, and they were using burner phones the previous year or however long they needed to.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, it would make sense.
Mm-hmm. And I could see getting hysterical even if I did plan it or was involved in the planning or knew of it and didn't stop it. I could still be at the same time. We're capable of having multiple
Okay,
emotions.
take your phone, hook it up to a machine, download the information. It doesn't take a whole lot unless you got a whole lot of stuff on there.
I don't know what's on there. I have to use the bathroom.
Okay, no problem.
Is there?
Yep.
Is it close by?
Yeah, it's real close by. Okay, you can leave your stuff there. It's not going anywhere, and I'll ask you right around the corner. Okay.
Okay.
You want some water after that?
Okay.
Okay.
Pretty sure this
Not
is
yet.
fine.
You got somebody here?
Seriously? Okay. Hold it.
Sorry.
Okay.
We just have to eliminate everything. You know what she's saying, right?
I'm assuming I'm a suspect.
No, you're not a suspect. I don't consider you a suspect. I asked you to come up here. You came up here voluntarily. I'm not Reggie Miranda. You are not under arrest. You are.
I mean, I can't imagine asking if I was a suspect in something that I clearly didn't know anything about. Like, it wouldn't even cross my mind to ask that question.
The closest thing to family that I have to Daniel right now.
But I'm not a lawyer. What were you going to say?
Well, neither am I, but I'm not a lawyer and I don't know anything. But I tell even my kids this: if you are ever taken into a police station, just to even chat, you don't say a word without somebody else present. And as a lawyer, what are you doing?
That's right. She's getting her story out is what she seems to be doing. She's very chatty. Yeah. I mean,
no, I don't care how uncooperative it looks. No, I would never say anything without anybody else present.
Okay.
Okay. You are.
I'm so sad for. I was thinking about something else. He told me that he comes. We have week on, week off.
I'm so sad. I mean, that's moving through the grief process pretty quickly too.
Shocked to now just sad.
Right.
And he told me that he might have some work up in New York and he might not be back in time for the Wednesday overnight. So there's no way that he did this because he had all kinds of plans for next week.
But you're saying he would not hurt himself?
No.
Okay.
Again, with the suicide.
He has no reason to hurt himself or anything.
No, I can see him being really sad when we first got divorced.
Right.
But now he's got Amy and he loves those boys.
Okay.
And things were really good for him. There's no way he did this to himself.
Okay.
No way.
It really scares me because it means
which is obvious if you know the crime scene. They're like, yeah, we know.
There's someone out there that's willing to do this to him, and I'm scared for the kids.
I understand. I understand.
And they're at school right now, and I want to.
There's an officer at the school.
Okay.
The kids are fine.
Okay.
Okay. There's no.
Not like, oh, wow, okay. It's like, oh, okay, there's an officer. checkbox.
Carry on.
Well,
Mhm.
we're gonna help you with that, okay? But here's what I have to do right now. And I'm just trying, I wanna get this down.
Didn't
Pat, I
realize
know you don't
it's-
have your phone to refer to,
Okay.
but that's okay.
You'll have all that information.
Right, because I'll check that against what you tell me.
Okay.
Your last phone conversation, okay, that's your last personal contact, in other words, in person with Daniel was when?
He goes by Danny.
Yeah, okay.
No one calls him Daniel.
I don't know, I'm
I'm
sorry.
just not used to that.
No one
It
calls him
just feels
Dan,
really personal. My last face-to-face contact with him. Wow.
except for
We do a lot of like, we walk out at the school, right? Where one of us will take the kids to school, the other picks them up. When was the last time I saw him? I definitely saw him when I picked the kids up. I feel like there's something since then, but that would have been.
No, in my way. I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, I did Annie, because you wanted it before. Yeah. And that was that morning I drove down, so that was June 30th,
Okay.
whatever that Monday morning was that we drove down to Miami. I saw him, I met Amy, and we did a lot of Skype, like we Skype every day while I was gone. But that's one person. I came back with my parents. We drove back all together, and then that Friday, which would have been last Friday, a week from today. So today's the 18th. It was Friday the 11th. It's my other brother's birthday, and I would have seen him, but I had been with the kids for like 12 days straight, and I was getting really sad at the idea of drop off of Danny coming to pick him up. And so my folks said, you know what, why don't you just? So at about 4:45, I just went over to a friend's house. I didn't see him that day. And then he had the kids, and I got some sort of laryngitis, and I was alone all weekend, so that was Saturday and Sunday. And then this week, I missed the kids, so I visited them at school on Monday and Tuesday.
They were staying with Danny?
They were with Danny that whole time, but Danny and I had started updates. We really missed the kids. We'd go have like lunch with them or breakfast with them. So I went and had lunch with them around the story. I saw them Monday, I saw them Tuesday. Wednesday was my overnight, and so that was Wednesday, and then he had them Thursday. Was
What was
yesterday. So that was the
I'm
last
so
time I
lost.
had
What was the
face-to-face
question
contact with
even?
him.
Was.
The last time she saw him in person.
And then
Oh,
yesterday,
okay, 'cause
y'all
that was
were
like an hour
conversing
ago.
on text about this phone call or about the discussion for Ben.
On email, I think, about
He just lets her go though.
we'd both spoken with an
Smart.
administrator at the school, and so yesterday morning I said to him, I emailed him and said, I'd really love for him to go to the school. I think we should accept it. Here's why. And then I asked him a second question about Ben's birthday coming up, because I didn't have Ben on his birthday. He wanted this Lego thing, and I wanted to make sure that no one else got it for him. So I asked him if he was going to do a party for Ben, so I knew ahead of time whether people would be bringing presents or whatever, and so I knew whether he would have gotten it from someone else or whether I should buy it for him. And he wrote back and said, when your voice feels better, let's talk, because my throat was really hurting. He said, let's talk. We need to work this out for Monday. And I sent him an email. You'll see it
can
sometime this morning
imagine
while I was
her throat
home
would
working
be
on the paper that said, okay, I'm ready to talk whenever you are. I don't know what time I sent it, but if I called him at 11:40, it was either before I called him, because I thought normally he would have called.
Okay.
Like when he said I'm done with the class at 10:30, and I had said, okay, let's talk, and then sent him
So convenient that she was all of a sudden ready to talk 15 minutes before he was shot.
a call or an email. Like, I thought it was weird I hadn't heard from him, but I just thought like, oh, maybe he's busy with something or showering.
But he told you at some point that he was going to premiere this morning.
Yeah, no, that phone message says I'm going to premiere. I'll be out 10:15, 10:30, and so you can call me after that.
When did you receive that phone message?
Maybe after the repair guy left, so maybe like this morning, like at 11ish or something.
So you're at your house with the repairman. He leaves. You go back to working on your papers, and then you leave your house around noon. Drive down. Trescott's blocked. You turn around. You go back around on Benton, and then
There's a tree.
Pardon?
I thought it was like a tree that fell down or something.
So
I didn't even think like that's the house. I saw a few houses.
Your eye roll there.
Just
Sorry.
no, you're not wasting my time. I think I asked you before. You don't have a number for Amy. You do not have a contact number for her. But you know she's a professor at NYU. You know that her and Danny have been seeing each other, and that she stayed here from the end of June to the 1st of July. Just
At least 2 days, maybe. Yeah.
and she met the children.
Yeah, she met a few friends in town too.
And you don't know anything about her ex,
No, I know she was married.
right? And she has children.
She has a son.
And
She
you
knows quite a bit about her ex.
She's a son.
Is it?
I think he's 14.
Okay.
Um,
Do you know how old Amy is?
she's 50.
She's 50.
Yeah,
Bam.
she doesn't look 50.
Those
She's
answers.
very beautiful. She is not that you can't be beautiful at 50, but she looks really young. She's very pretty and accomplished. And
You know her date of birth?
I only know that she's 50. I don't because I was looking her up one time. Feeling
Oh, okay. Okay, so she's 50. She goes by Amy Adler.
her middle initial is M.
Emma.
She had to mention that because she knows all her electronic data is going to be.
So that
Sure.
oh my god, he looked her up on the law school website. You find her that way.
Okay.
her brother's he's like a famous fashion designer. So I think they spend a lot of weekends like in the Hamptons, and she lives in the city and lives like,
Jelly.
good life.
Stalker?
You gave me a name of Matt Price, who's in DC.
That's his best friend.
Is that
I actually wondered for the first time yesterday when I was going through this if she had hired someone to follow him.
Like a PI?
Mhm.
an attorney?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
She has such a level of
Something
detail.
like
That's okay, I'm used to it. I gotta deal with state attorney's office, public defender's office, private attorneys.
The only time I've ever been in this, I represent victims of crime. I represent immigrant victims of crime.
She
So the only
finds
time I've ever been in
that
this
funny.
building is
Oh,
like
okay.
advocating for my clients.
I represent victims of crime. How ironic.
Yeah, that's you. Yeah.
And the other friend,
The other friend is Josh Berman, also attorney. He's in New York City.
a city attorney from New York.
No, he's private. They're both private. And they're like the historic best friends
Okay.
from college and law school.
And of course, Alex is up in Cairo.
I'm assuming they're close. I know that he sleeps over at their house a lot with the kids.
Okay.
I don't know if it's because the kids really love to play together or because they're close, but they spend a lot of time together. I'm sure they're close.
All right. Okay.
Andy's pretty religious, so like he can be connected with like rabbis and stuff in town too.
Finally getting to it.
All right. Which synagogue does he go to?
He goes to two. The one he's most strongly affiliated with is Shomrei Torah. And by the way, if you get a nod that I can't use the bathroom, I can really use it. So
I'm gonna make
I mean, I'm not
right
gonna
now.
die, but if I could just, that's really great.
I'm not going to die.
We wouldn't want that. As soon as he got the name of the synagogue that he was associated with, he jetted out of there.
Okay.
And I was relieved later on. I was like, is he still alone? I had so much anxiety the first time I saw this interrogation. Like, is he all alone? Like, where is he? What's happening? She's acting like he's dead. He's not dead, lady,
Yeah.
And so I noticed this yesterday, but I just think I'm going to note it again for the audience. He did jet out of there, and that probably would have been behind the scenes the time that he would have given that information to somebody who could contact somebody from the synagogue, because it did turn out later
To
that
go be there.
there were people with him. I thought he was alone the whole time.
Yeah.
I think this is when I just want to make sure it's our stopping point coming up. We have a lot to discuss, and Antoine has some great. Antoine was answering us. And he's in the legal field that it's correct. It's not real about the Miranda rights.
Okay, hi.
You gotta do, swap your hands.
Oh, first I'm gonna have to do your hands.
Okay, so this is where we're going to pause, and it's, let me write it down, 3:39. Okay, 3 hours and 39, or 3 o'clock and 39 minutes. So I'm going to leave it up there in case we want to look at anything again, but just for now, that's where we are. So we were wondering if the Miranda rights were read out loud all the time, customarily. And he actually mentioned he thought that she had asked 2 or 3 times by that point about the Miranda rights. I might have missed that. Did you notice that, Katie?
I definitely heard her ask twice if she was considered a suspect, and
Yeah.
once or twice if he had to read the Miranda rights.
Yeah, or maybe just the rights. She might
But
have.
I think legally they don't have to read those unless the person is actually under arrest.
I believe that's true. And I think that's why yeah, you're right. It was at least twice, because he said, well, you're not considered a suspect.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just trying to get some mean information. And the reason they knew it wasn't a suicide is because he was shot through the window of his car. You can't,
Okay.
like, it was closed. Physically impossible. He just drove up. A neighbor saw him drive up, heard a bang or heard a noise, saw a Prius drive away, went over to see what he heard, and saw this disaster, just horrific scene. Okay, so yes, and so Antoine is saying that, yeah, if she was a suspect, then he would have, and that he said she did ask 2 or 3 times. It's not, and then he also mentioned, yeah, it's not real until it happens, so the shock may be partly real, although exaggerated. And sure.
Sure.
Also, and I didn't mean it that way. But also, like I said, I'm thinking myself, okay, let's just say I got involved in some crazy conspiracy to do something wrong. Now, I can't imagine it being hurting another individual. Let's just say a business scheme or something along those, like just something. Let's just say I did that and I planned to get questioned about it. I knew that once some events happened that I would get questioned. You're right. First of all, I wouldn't go without a lawyer. And I might even refuse to be questioned because why do you want to know? Why do you want to question me? You know, and that would be like, what's going on? I'd want to know that before I let somebody haul me into the police, you know, because they can take information and misunderstand it or even, you know, be after somebody. Anyway, I could see being a little emotional, even if I knew, but this was very different. I'm more concerned about, but I will say the first time I saw this a couple of years ago, I was like, that is so fake. That was my first impression too, but it's been a few times since I've seen it. So now it's like, okay, I'm picking up on more and more things. So yeah. Yeah. Crazy. And Antoine said, yeah, she did all her she claimed, oh, I don't know anything. And then she's like, well, he does this on this day and he went there on that day and at this time. And
she's 50 and her brother this, and they go to the Hamptons. And
yeah, she knew everything about what Danny was doing. Dan, I call him Danny because she's calling him Danny. But then saying, oh yeah, she was certainly, which made me wonder, was she, and then she keeps saying going forward, like in the testimonies, Danny hurt me. Of course my family was upset with him because he hurt me. He hurt me. She must say he hurt her so many times. And it's like, what did he do? There is no evidence of that, like emotional abuse or, I mean, of course you're in a relationship, you're going to get your feelings hurt now and then. But
there's no evidence anywhere of physical abuse.
Oh no. And she denies that there was any. I mean, she never, when they asked, she said,
just treated her so bad.
No, he would never do that. And he was a great father.
Okay.
Well, why'd you leave him? I don't know. But okay. But that's, that's neither here nor there. So yeah. So we got our first session done. I went a little bit longer, more like 45 minutes just to get us past. Now, the next scene will be the social worker or whatever she's called, the advocate coming in. And that gets really interesting as well.
Okay.
Now, Antoine,
I'm excited. This is crazy.
Oh, good. Yeah. Antoine, did you answer? What were your thoughts? All interrogation rooms have cameras all over the place. And there's also people watching them. Like in a case like this, when it's a brutal murder, you can be sure they have psychologists, behavioral scientists, body language experts watching this and going through it. You find live,
Mm-hmm.
Anton is typing. Antoine, excuse me. So so this is, hard to imagine being in a horrible position like this. But I think that one thing that I did point out when she said no, my friends would never do anything without me knowing, basically is what she was saying.
Yeah.
That was quite the giveaway to me, that she would know about it. Because that was always the thing. It's like, did her brother just do that? Who are these people? And just so you know, back to that tree, her brother Charlie, who she was saying made those distasteful jokes, which were more than distasteful jokes, but he had a relationship with Katie, who is in jail, already been prosecuted, tried, and convicted. And I forgot where my train of thought was because I'm reading these notes too. Hold on. I want to make sure I give everyone a chance. I believe she may have planned everything, but the actual death and being brought in for questioning stumped her. Well, she did say legally, Antoine, in the very beginning, I don't know if you picked up on this, but she did say, oh yeah, naturally you would ask the spouse. They would be the first person you would question or suspect. I can't remember what she said. It was very early on that she said, "Oh, of course you're going to question me. I'm the ex-wife," or something along those lines. So I think she was prepared. It seems, I shouldn't say I think, but it just certainly seems like she was prepared. And he mentions that this is a high level of pressure that can't be replicated because you don't know what's on the line. Absolutely true. But practicing and practicing and practicing is not going to hurt for high pressure. I mean, everyone who's in high pressure situations of any kind, the more you practice, the more prepared you are, the better you come off, and the more likely are you going to get your story out. And I think that was her goal. It seems like that was her goal because she just talking so much
and has all the right details, like down to literally the minute.
Yeah, I'm glad you noticed that. Okay, Antoine, one last comment before we head off today. Okay, so he says, because he was typing 3 zeros, so I believe she may have planned everything, but the actual death being brought in for questioning stumped her. It's a level of high pressure that can't be replicated because you know what's on the line. Good point. And it's obvious that she hasn't had much trial experience or deposition experience. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What did you think of her saying, "I've only been in the police station a couple times because I what did she say? She was a big
Didn't she say she represents
trafficking crimes," and then a little giggle.
Yeah, that was weird.
Like, what? Oh, isn't it funny? I'm in here for crime and now I'm in here for a crime. What? Not really. So
and that could just be like her weird personality, like trying, like, I don't know, if I'm in an awkward situation, I try to make a joke and laugh about it, but like
I do that too, for sure.
But with everything else that's going on, and she's like, I'm just thinking about our last interaction and how terrible it was. Well, he's not dead.
That's
so go to the hospital and fix it.
Yeah, that was a guilty.
Like,
that's a good point.
He's not dead yet.
No.
Anyway.
Mm-mm. And I did notice that the time of death was actually dated July 19th.
Oh.
And this is July 18th. So he was in that hospital alive for hours. You would think she might have even been nervous. Is he able to talk? But she seemed to know he wasn't.
Yeah.
Huh. Did she see? Did somebody see it happen? So they knew the level. There is, in the coming trials, or the trials that would come after this, there was a lot of communication between the person who actually shot him, who was hired to shoot him, and the person who was Charlie's girlfriend.
Oh,
she's the conduit to the hitmen. So there was like a lot of chit chat afterwards.
Weird.
So, well, they had to get paid after all.
Yeah.
But they must have said something to the effect of, "There's no way." They might have thought
he's not going to make it. Or
it was pretty awful.
How much did they get paid?
Well, we don't know about Katie because she was that she was doing her very best, level best to, like anything she needed, she would make, he'd be like, "You don't have to ever ask for anything, Charlie," to Katie. Sure. I'll know. I'll just know, and it'll get taken care of. But supposedly it was $100,000, and it was split between the three of them. Okay. So Luis Rivera testified that it was $35,000 to him, 35, and to top two, or the other guy who pulled the trigger. I don't want to say his name. I don't like saying the names of the murderers as much as the victim, and so it's not that I don't know his name. I don't want to say it.
Yep. So I get that.
Quite a bit of money. I mean,
yep.
He said he looked into hiring a hitman, and it came out that it was $15,000. That came out in the trial. So he evidently wasn't able to find one for $15,000 because he was negotiating or whatever. Maybe he asked
Oh my
somebody.
gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Crazy.
So,
Well, I'm excited for our next session.
yeah, and she's a grown woman.
fun.
It's like you have to talk to your mom and your brother who are 8 hours away about whether to buy a TV or not buy it. All the conversation that goes back and forth about this TV. Were they really talking about a TV or were they talking in code?
Right.
Is what comes up later. So
Yeah.
exciting things coming forward.
Yay.
All right, Katie. Well, hey, everyone who's watching, thanks for watching. Thanks for being here and weighing in. And let's just, okay. And Anton's last comment here is self-realization that she isn't experienced and trying to play off that she has coached herself. Yeah.
Yep.
So nobody would be flawless at that. No one.
No.
No one. So to some degree, she did as well as just about anybody. But I think that the interesting thing is everyone comes on into this really within the few minutes saying, this isn't real. This is fake crying and hysterics. And then also just all the storytelling that starts, so quickly, and then no interest in going to the hospital to see him or getting the boys to be able to see him. It does come up later, but all right, my dears. Well, it was so great to do this and to call more attention to this trial, to this case, the Dan Markel murder, because it was just so tragic. And one of the other things that's tragic about this, and a lot of people are watching this, is because the two, Tudo, and Katie were not wealthy people like the people who hired them. And in fact, they were just scraping along, especially Katie. And they're the ones in prison. And the ones who hired them as of yet haven't been prosecuted. Charlie finally got arrested, which was interesting timing. The state of Florida actually arrested him during the very last parts of Katie's second trial after the mistrial. So it was pretty dramatic. Yeah, it was pretty dramatic. In fact, he had his first hearing and she had her sentencing hearing, I think on the same day in the same courtroom. It was two proceedings, the same day in the same, it was like back to back. So it was like pretty wild. Yeah.
Crazy.
Anywho, so yeah, my heart goes out to, the Markel family and hopefully those boys when they do grow up, and they've grown up. This was over 6 years ago now. They'll get to know their dad in some of the great memories and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's pretty tragic that anyone would consider taking someone else's life for money.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. Okay, Katie, so we'll be back Monday at noon, right? For the next, and it would probably go more closer to 30 minutes. I'll find a good breaking point on the interrogation. I think this one was perfect because it finished the whole first segment. So now I've got two covering the same time, but it's just like I said, for those listening, I'm curious if you're the same way where you pick up on new details each time. I kind of do. So, in the Murdaugh, I don't know. Are there any interrogation tapes from that yet out?
I don't know. I'm about 6 months behind.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot happening right now with that. It's really, really, really messy. I'm interested in Elizabeth Holmes is going to get sentenced pretty soon, but there's all kinds of crazy things going on with her. That was the Theranos the fraudulent company that said that they could get accurate results, lab results in the healthcare industry with a drop of blood. And
I forgot about that.
You can't. So yeah, she's going to be getting her sentencing, and now she shows up pregnant again.
Oh. Okay. Well, and they just arrested who they assume is the murder of the Delphi girls.
I saw that. Yeah, I haven't followed that at all. What was that about? I mean,
It's a 6-year-old murder investigation, and they think they finally found the guy. He has pled not guilty, but they arrested him on Friday, a few days ago.
I saw that go across my news feed. Who did he kill?
13 and 14-year-old girl cousins. They were off of school for the day. It was February. It was a nice day out. So they went to, it was in the city of Delphi in, is it Indiana or Ohio? Anyway, it's the city of Delphi.
Pennsylvania. Okay.
So
Maybe.
it was Abby and Libby are the two girls. But one of them was smart enough to use Snapchat at the time. And so she snapped a video of the person right before the death.
Oh, wow.
But it's tragic. But a couple podcasters that I follow are big into the case because they're from the area.
Right.
So like Crime Junkie, if you follow that one.
Yeah.
Or True Crime Garage. Those two are big into this case.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's good that, certain channels, some of the bigger channels, divide some of these cases up because there are so many cases and you can't cover everything. There's no way.
No.
Which is really sad commentary. Like, I wasn't ever interested in crime or true crime trials. Yes. Like more like business law, like fraud and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And it was the pandemic that kind of got me, like all of us interested in certain things. That's why I got more interest in football and all kinds of different. And I couldn't take it. But I'm finding it it's kind of, strangely empowering in a way. It's like, okay, I'm aware now. I mean, I was walking around not realizing that all this stuff was going on and how dangerous people can be.
Yeah.
And people well and that kind of thing. So, yeah. All right, my dear. Well, you might even have more thoughts as you progress through the week too, as you ruminate about it too.
Yeah,
so wait,
definitely.
Can't wait. Okay, everyone. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks for the replay. When you do replay, make sure you comment and say hi so I can say hi back and let us know your thoughts and your observations because we just find this very fascinating. And again, this is just our personal opinions, and we're not associated or involved in the legal or mental health care industry in any way. We're just a couple of girls who find this very interesting. I personally am also following and had been following the behavior panel, which is all about body language. Mm-hmm. They also do breakdowns of interrogations, really quick ones, but certainly for that kind of thing, for professionals, you want to be following them. So, all right, everyone. Well, bye for now. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Dawn.